910. He's supposed to call.
I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network. The city of Columbus released more body camera videos and 911.
Okay, so it didn't download. Okay. Let me know when Jake gets on the line, or if he gets on the line. Do we have any local games, Biffy? Okay. We have the spring game. Okay, so we do have just one game this weekend, high school game? Okay. Okay. Well, we should mention that, I guess. Okay, good. I was curious. We'll figure it out. Okay, so he's on the line. All right, good. Excuse me.
The clouds for your Friday. The temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Welcome to the show! Do you know what today is?
April 22nd, we celebrate Earth Day!
Hey, always recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
We recycle everything.
Y'all recycle.
Earth Day.
Time to focus on things everyone can do to help the planet.
Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Happy Earth Day.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Conversations you care about with people you know. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Well, at least we don't recycle old shows. That's we were talking about that last hour. Rush Limbaugh's network is recycling his old shows. At least we don't do that. Although I've often said, when I die, they're just going to stuff me like a canary and stick me in front of the microphone and just keep running tapes of old shows. But so far, we're not doing that. We are not recycling old programs. Temperature is really slowly moving up. 34 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. There's a little light wind blowing around with the 34-degree temperature and light wind. It makes it feel like 27 degrees. The feels like temperature is 27 degrees. Partly cloudy outside, at least no snow like we had yesterday. Still going to be a pretty cold day today. The best will do 48. And Zach said we may not even get up there. Freeze warning sticks with us till 10. A freeze watch will come in later in the day today and tonight actually. So be aware of that. Otherwise, it's going to be a cold day, a cooler day, and a mixture of sun and clouds. Not a great day, not a terrible day. Biffy, do we have high school basketball coming up this weekend?
Yes, we do. We have on Saturday night at 7:30. It is the sectional game at Wheeling Central. And I'm trying to find here real quick because the game was last night. North Marion beat Weirton 47-40 last night. So Saturday night, according to West Virginia Metro News, North Marion will be at Wheeling Central at 7 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
And then this is the sectional championship, so this is the game where you can lose and still go down to Charleston, the crossover, mulligan game, whatever you want to call it. So, North Marion and Wheeling Central, Saturday at 7. And then next week will be the one of the two regional co-final games where, they do the switching and everything. But, I'll just stop there because I don't want to confuse anybody if I already have even more.
So the answer to my question is, yes, we have a game on Saturday, right?
Yes, it is 7 o'clock according to West Virginia Metro News, North Marion at Wheeling Central.
And we also have on Saturday the WVU spring game, right?
Yes, I believe that is the blue and gold game on Saturday, and then West Virginia baseball as well. They play Saturday at 4:30, and they are at Kansas State all weekend, starting on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. So we go from West Virginia football with the spring game to West Virginia baseball, and then into high school basketball on Saturday. So basically all you do is you get up at 9 and listen to the sports huddle and just keep it there all day, and you'll be good to go.
And we'll cover all your sports for you.
We'll have you covered on Saturday, yep.
Absolutely. 9:13 of the Watchdog Morning Show. You mentioned Metro News. Of course, we work with our friends at Metro News all the time. We have a lot of reporters that check in with us frequently, covering the Capitol in Charleston and so on. We have Brad McElhaney. We have Mark Curtis from Nexstar Media. Our buddy Stephen Adams from the Ogden newspaper chain checks in. We Phil Kabler occasionally from the Gazette. So a lot of coverage of this of things going on in West Virginia. And lately, I've been trying to focus some of our attention, since they're right across the border from us, on the Buckeye State. And I've come across what I find to be a really good new news service that I call your attention to, the Ohio Capitol Journal. It's an online news service. Lots of great coverage of the state capitol and other big stories around Ohio. And so I invited today to help me talk about one of the stories he's written about, Jake Zuckerman. Now, Jake is familiar, perhaps, with you, because Jake used to be at the Gazette down in Charleston. In fact, remember, Biffy, the governor still thinks he's down there.
And it wouldn't surprise me.
No, because the governor was complaining about the story that he wrote on the Greenbrier. Jake, good morning. Little did you know that years after you left, that the governor would still be complaining about your Greenbrier story.
Good morning, and, I'm glad to know I'm still on his mind. It's reassuring.
A little tiny space in there that you still occupy. Jake, a story you did this week that I wanted to talk to you about in Ohio. House Democrats are trying to push some gun control ideas through. It strikes me it's probably going to be a pretty heavy lift, but tell me what they have in mind. What are they doing? This, of course, is in reaction to some very recent gun shootings, but gun shootings, what a stupid phrase is. Some more recent shootings, but also to, significant numbers of shootings in Ohio and across the country. What are these guys having in mind? What are they trying to do?
Right. I think what they're aiming for is they're looking for some more consensus-driven ideas on gun control. I think that they're acknowledging they're not going to get like an assault weapons ban or a high-capacity weapons ban, something like that through. So they're focused on getting a red flag law, forcing private gun sales and gun show gun sales to go through background checks, repealing Stand Your Ground, which passed last year, and a couple more of those things that I think that they know that Republican office holders are going to oppose, but I think that they're looking to appeal to even gun owners who recognize that something needs to be done on guns when you just look at the nonstop drip, drip, drip of mass shootings in the U.S.
Isn't it interesting? I think you're exactly right, and I like the way you express that. Office holders, for some reason, feel like they have to hold the line on guns. They can't deviate. They've got to say no. They got to make things tougher, not easier. And yet I think Democrats, Republicans, gun owners, not gun owners, in the public eye, I think reasonable, moderate forms of gun control, for lack of a better phrase, gun regulation, whether it's background checks, closing loopholes, and so on, I think meet with public acceptance.
Great, I think that's a safe statement. I'm not even aware, how much people really think through some of this stuff, but like if you just look through the Ohio Revised Code, there's so much law in there about when you can't pass a background check and, when you can't buy a gun. I think people who really think it through would say, well, why does it make sense to have all these restrictions on purchasing guns from a federally licensed gun dealer versus a gun show where no background check is necessary? I mean, it just doesn't make sense on its face.
Yeah, I use the word reasonable. I could use common sense too. Common sense says if you're going to if you're going to regulate it on the one side, do it on the other side as well. Why some background checks are okay and others aren't? and I'm looking over the list in your article in the Capital Journal of the things that the Democrats want to do. Nothing here is other than maybe repealing Stand Your Ground, which may end up being a very controversial. None of these, I don't think, seem to be the kind of things that would engender a huge amount of debate if it wasn't for the hard political divide that we have.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would actually put preemption as, it's a more difficult legal concept. It's not as cut and dry as some of the other ones, but I think that would be a heavier lift for the Democrats. I'm happy to explain that if your readers aren't familiar.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to do a segment on this maybe tomorrow or the next day. In West Virginia, there's a lot of effort. The legislature came this time on preempting the power of cities to do a number of different things as well. That's sort of a trend right now of Republicans across the country, is to set state standards that preempt the municipal standards. And there is a law in effect in Ohio that prohibits cities from setting their own gun control, right?
That is correct, yeah. And cities have tried. Cleveland has tried. Columbus has tried. And even some smaller cities have tried to just pass this or that gun control bill. And this preemption law, which was passed in the early 2000s, just kind of reigned supreme on the issue.
Zeke, best guess, and you talk to people at the State House and elsewhere, best guess, you call it the drip, drip, drip. I mean, it's bang, bang, bang of increasing amounts of stories about mass shootings, both in Ohio and across the country. Is this moving anybody off dead center, do you think? No, terrible pun. No pun intended there of dead center. But is it moving people off of their point a little bit?
At least within the political arena, I don't think that there's any real evidence of that. I mean, we just passed Stand Your Ground law last year, right in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of this newly refocused and increased scrutiny on the relationship between police and guns and race. Stand Your Ground law passed. There are some gun law, really expansions of gun law that are on the hopper and seem to have momentum among the Ohio General Assembly. So I think it's pretty hard to imagine without some sort of real paradigm shift how any of these democratic ideas go the distance.
So what's their point? They held a big press conference this week, House Dems did, to lay out some of their concerns and some of their ideas. What's their point? What are they trying to do? Just put this in the public consciousness and hope to slowly but surely make some progress? Or do they think they've got a chance at maybe getting something done?
No, I think the Democrats were pretty sober in their analysis of the chances here, and they got a lot of questions from reporters with the effect of, there are no Republicans signed onto these bills, so what's the point? And Amelia Sykes, the House Minority Leader, really kind of took the tone of, I don't know, ask the Republicans. I mean, we think that these are reasonable ideas. We think they should sponsor them. We believe in these ideas, but as for why these bills are likely just going to be left on a shelf somewhere, it's not a question for us to answer. We all support these. Ask the people who don't.
And in point of fact, not only are unlikely to get much, if any, Republican support for these bills, the Republicans in the State House are kind of going the other way, right? I mean, they're trying to toughen up gun laws.
That's correct. Right now on the table, there's one bill in Ohio which would make Ohio a constitutional carry state. So we would remove licensure requirements to carry a concealed weapon at 21 and up. There's something in Ohio law called the duty to notify, where if you're stopped by police, you must promptly inform a police officer that you have a licensed gun in the car. And promptly is kind of loosely defined, but the bills would basically walk that back to, you do not have to tell a police officer unless you are asked about the presence of a gun in the car. So there are some real gun rights expansions on the table. There's also a knife preemption bill on the table, this GA. So again, those points really seem to fall toward the don't hold your breath on gun control in Ohio.
We talked on this show a couple weeks ago about the, and I think I picked up the story from the Capital Journal, I didn't realize Ohio law as of last year now allows the carrying of switchblades and knives and brass knuckles too, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that all about?
The law passed in the last General Assembly, and frankly, it probably didn't get the attention it deserved. It was really marketed as carrying a concealed knife, and a lot of the supporters were saying this just kind of equalizes a dumb thing in code where you carrying your pocket knife from work could get you in trouble. But when you get under the hood of the law and look at the list of what was legalized for concealed carry, yeah, like you mentioned, brass knuckles, cestises, billy clubs, blackjacks, sandbags, switchblades, spring blade knives, gravity knives, and similar weapons. I mean, I had to Google half. I was unfamiliar with half of the weapon set that was legalized.
Yeah, I haven't heard some of those phrases since I read old Dashiell Hammett mystery novels, based in the 40s. I mean, blackjacks and saps and Jiminy Christmas. So, and you're probably right. I didn't follow this at all, and I didn't catch it at all last year. And to those who did pay attention, it probably was like, it's okay. I'm tired of taking my pocket knife out when I have to go into a public building or something, so let's just make them legal. But that was a strange story. Again, I shared it with the audience last week. It was a strange story. You had some numbers in your article this week, Jake, on gun deaths and gun injuries in Ohio, both this year and in recent years, right?
That's correct. Yeah, those numbers come from Gun Violence Archive, which I'm not sure who runs it off the top of my head, but they pretty meticulously just compile local news reports of shootings, mass shootings, and suicides. And yeah, the numbers are pretty sobering and often are absent from the gun control conversation. But in 2021 alone, 218 Ohioans have died from gun violence, and another 439 have been injured. Wow. We've had 4 mass shootings here, with mass shooting being defined as 4 people shot, not including the gunman. So there's a problem here. I mean, I think that's step one, is just acknowledging that there are a lot of people being hurt by guns on an extremely regular basis in Ohio and I think around the country. And in the meanwhile, our law is really advancing the rights of people to carry those guns, not curtail them in any serious way.
We've talked a lot about gun control, gun violence this week here on the radio show for obvious reasons, because of the numerous incidents we've had across the country. I'm willing to acknowledge that it's not a single solution problem. I do think that there's some issue of people we do have mental health issues in this country, which probably need to be addressed. We do have, I think, an awful lot of saturation of violence in our society. I think we desensitize ourselves to violence because of some of the way it's portrayed on television and movies and video games and so on. But in the end, the one thing that we can have some concrete control over to begin with, is access to the guns. And that to me is at least the start. It's not the answer. We won't fix all the problems if we have, some stronger background checks, or even if we have more limitations on ownership of guns. We won't solve the problem, but at least we begin to work on it, because issues like mental health, issues like violence being pervasive in our society's culture, that's not something you can take care of in a day or two with a piece of legislation. The one place that you can begin to focus is gun control. And again, Jake, as you just said, I think everybody, probably even Republicans who say no to these bills, everybody acknowledges the problem. We just can't seem to center on any kind of a solution.
Yeah, it's a real boondoggle.
So I don't know what it is, but maybe at least, speaking up and talking about it. President Biden is talking about it. I'm going to do some executive actions at the federal level. And then, of course, in West Virginia, I think we passed it. I lose track if it passed it. I think it did pass in West Virginia in the legislature that certain federal laws cannot be enforced in West Virginia on gun control. Now, I don't think that'll stand up on a court challenge.
Oh, the nullification bill? You guys passed that?
Exactly. So I think you're going to see, the idea that we will not enforce federal gun laws in the state of West Virginia, that's just crazy. And there was an effort made to modify that, to moderate it, I guess I should say, to make it less egregious. And the amendment also almost made it through. Charlie Trump had proposed an amendment that kind of lessened the problems, and then that was removed, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess all the way around. Anyway,
For the
Jake,
record, that bill's been introduced in Ohio too. Now that you mention it.
well, and that doesn't surprise me. And part of the reason is because probably it's all part of this national effort. ALEC and other groups are pushing all across the country, working with legislatures to try to get them all to follow suit on some of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bill mills are real, and they're very powerful forces in state politics.
Absolutely. So, listen, I want to encourage our listeners to check out the Ohio Capitol Journal. I find it to be a really good news service. You guys do a great job. Are you enjoying your time there?
Yeah, it's been great here, and we appreciate the love on West Virginia radio.
Yeah, well, I hope that we'll be following it. And we'll probably talk to you and other folks from the Journal as time goes by. We have, as you know, a lot of contacts with the West Virginia media statewide, and I'd love to get you guys to be part of our morning analysis team and reporting team from time to time as well. But this piece is in. What are you working on? Anything exciting this week?
There's some more gun things in the works. We got a budget coming through this week, and just that coronavirus everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, and vaccines, which people for some reason aren't getting vaccinated enough.
Take your shots. If you're listening, go take your shots.
It doesn't. I don't comprehend why people don't. Hey, Jake, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate you joining me, and I'm sure I'll be in touch with you again in the near future. Okay.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Howard. Thanks,
appreciate it. Jake Zuckerman's with the Ohio Capitol Journal. I really encourage you to check that out. It's a online service. You can do like I do. I get their headlines sent to me every morning in my email so I can scan through some of the stuff. I knew Jake from when he worked for the Gazette, but they've got a lot of great reporters working for the Ohio Capitol Journal. And again, we spent a lot of our time in West Virginia with Metro News and with Nexstar Media and with the Ogden Chain and all those things. I'm trying to get a little more attention being paid to Ohio as well. We have Ohio News, the top of the hour from our friends at ONN, of which we are affiliate, the Ohio News Network. And we'll hear a lot more from the Ohio Capitol Journal as time goes by as well. All right, and I'm glad that Jake was our first guest from the Ohio Capitol Journal, Biffy, only because he's been gone for about a year and a half from the Charleston Gazette. And honest to goodness, just a couple weeks ago, Governor Justice is complaining about him. Zeke Zuckerman, he wrote about the Greenbrier and it caused me trouble. He's gone, Governor. He's gone.
Someone from his team may want to pass the word along to him if they haven't already.
Yeah, the governor when he fixates on something, he fixates on something. Although this week in his last press conference, I think 2 days ago, Governor Justice and Phil Kabler, who I really like, and I encourage you to read his State House Beat column every week in the Gazette. I post it on my Facebook and Twitter pages each weekend. And he does a great job of covering the State House. He was one of the he was one of the several people that I followed the tweets from during the legislative session. Stephen and Mark and Brad and Phil, between those guys and their tweets, you got all the coverage you needed from the State House. But he and the governor are not friends. I mean, the governor has really had a lot of nasty things to say about him. But this week, Biffy, and just a couple of days ago, the governor said, "Why, Phil, I think you and I are bonding today." I think Kabler got scared. What am I doing? Why? What? The governor said something nice about me?
Ears kind of perked up on that one, didn't they?
I think I'm doing something wrong. The governor says we're bonding. All right, 9:31:29 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Got a couple of items I want to get into on the fun side of life coming up. If you have something on your mind, share it with me if you would like to. Oh, I have a story. When we come back from the news, I do want one more gun story because it's just thoroughly depressing. Thoroughly depressing. And you would say, well, Howard, all these gun shootings are depressing. Gunfight at a kid's birthday party. I'll share the story with you coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Has all the power. The For the People Act will stop that. Billionaires buying West Virginia's elections? The For the People Act will stop that. Politicians and their families getting rich while we pay for it? Yep. The For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop corruption in its tracks and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us. It's time we put a stop to a few things. Americans voting on machines that aren't made in America? The For the People Act will stop that. States using hackable voting machines with no paper trail? The For the People Act will stop that. Elections with no way to do careful audits or recounts by hand? Yep, the For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop election interference and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Those nagging aches in your foot or ankle simply won't go away on their own. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet based on their education, training, and experience. Your podiatrist can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, and show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. Ask if your podiatrist is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. The Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association has been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years, and we look forward to caring for Ohioans' feet for another 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Toyota RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year. Available as a hybrid and with all-wheel drive, it has the style and versatility for all your life's adventures. And through May 3rd, get up to $1,250 cash back from Toyota on select new 2021 RAV4s. Shop Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
See the Wheeling Nailers in person Sunday, April 25th, as they go against the Fort Wayne Comets. Puck drops 4:10. Enjoy great family fun and entertainment with the Nailers, proud affiliates of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and watch players who may become future NHL stars. Experience the 29th season of pro hockey in Wheeling. Get tickets now for the Nailers game, Sunday, April 25th at Westbanco Arena. Call 304-234-GOAL or visit WheelingNailers.com. This is Nail City.
Valley Grove. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Valley Grove trusts the Watchdog.
If you miss a part of the show or want to listen again, you can find conversations, interviews, and rants on our podcasts at Apple Podcasts or on WatchdogNetwork.com. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
From yesterday, our podcast included Jack Rice and I talking about the Derek Chauvin case. Also, Brother Biff and I were talking at the tail end of the show yesterday, you may have heard it, about product placement being digitalized into old movies and old TV shows, which I just think is an anathema. And a little bit of Biff and I in our conversation. That's also up on the podcast page at watchdognetwork.com or via the Apple Podcast. We were talking earlier this morning about Jeopardy and of the 5 hosts that have already been filling in since Alex Trebek died. The number 1 rated was Ken Jennings. The worst rated was Dr. Oz. Aaron Rodgers came in number 3 in that ratings list. I thought Rodgers was just, terrible. He was just a dud. off the text line this morning on that same subject. Howard, Aaron Rodgers is dull. Couldn't stand him. He's got a backstory with his family that's not good. He doesn't speak to his own family. I don't know about that. I know nothing about that. Underneath it all, says this texter, he's just an arrogant donkey. I'll use donkey.
Okay.
As opposed to what the texter said.
But?
Mike Richards, that was the producer of the show. Mike Richards was awesome, intelligent, positive energy, a Jeopardy insider. Ken Jennings, this is interesting. Ken Jennings had a snarky air about him, but he is acceptable. He tells goofy jokes. Again, Ken Jennings to me far and away the best. And maybe it is because he's a little bit goofy, but not. Again, Katie Couric was too self-centered. Dr. Oz is just Dr. Oz. I'm not a fan of his. Maybe Ken Jennings does have a snarky ear. Maybe that's what I like. I don't know. But I thought Ken Jennings far and away was the best. Anyways, if you have thoughts about the Jeopardy guest hosts, you can text me. Happy to hear you. 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600 here on the Watchdog Radio Network text line. I was going to move off of the gun control issue. We've talked about it a lot this week. We just got done talking to Jake Zuckerman from the Ohio Capitol Journal about a package of proposals being made by Ohio House Democrats that almost certainly is not going to go anywhere because the Republicans have control and they're not going to, they want to make tougher and tougher gun laws. They want to make it easier and easier for people to own guns, and they don't want any kind of gun control laws. So I don't think these Democrat proposals are going to go anywhere, but we were talking about that. Biffy, it is everywhere. Gun violence is everywhere. And if you don't believe it, this story crossed my desk over the weekend. 9 teenagers and juveniles, preteens, were injured in New Orleans after a gunfight broke out at a 12-year-old's birthday party. A gunfight at a 12-year-old's birthday party.
And to kind of put that in perspective, you're talking probably 6th, maybe 7th graders?
Maybe younger than that. I'm not sure. Let's see, 7. Yeah.
I'd say between
maybe 5th, 6th graders. Yeah.
I'd say between 5th and 7th grade. You're looking.
Yeah. When authorities arrived, they discovered multiple people had been shot following a verbal confrontation at a 12-year-old's birthday party that somehow erupted into a gunfight. And this story is a day or two old. Of the 9, 7 were treated at a hospital release. 2 were still in the hospital at the time this story was written. Authorities believe that it was a large party of young people at the 12-year-old birthday party. 12-year-olds. 2 groups of male juveniles, 12-year-olds, were having an ongoing feud with each other. What, gang war among 12-year-olds?
Oh, that's another story right there in itself.
They began arguing during the party, and that led to a shootout. Sheriff said not one person has given a formal statement, but he wants people to come forward and explain it. I'm not sure what point I want to make about this, other than this is a perfect example of how violence is all throughout our society.
It doesn't matter, and the age group or place. Location. It's everywhere. And
we talk.
No, I was going to say.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and unfortunately, we're seeing it in some cases like this with younger kids, and it doesn't need to happen.
We talk about, as we've talked about many times this week on this show, need for gun control, need for mental health issues, and concern over violence soaking our society. Here's a perfect example. 12-year-old birthday party. A birthday party for 12-year-olds. He's 6, but Teddy's got a birthday party coming up here in a couple of weeks with a bunch of his friends. I know that's 6 versus 12, and that is a big maturity difference there, but still. Kids' birthday parties are now sites of gun violence?
I mean, when a kid's birthday party can't even be safe, I mean, what's that tell you right there?
How are we ever going to get control of this when we've reached this level? When we've reached the level where 12-year-olds, and I know I'm going to get some text saying, well, Howard, you have to understand some of these 12-year-olds, they're little gangsters. I do get that. And I guess that's my point. How have we reached a point where 12-year-olds, by the way, how have we reached a point where 12-year-olds have guns?
Yeah, and again, there's another story there you could have by itself as well.
The story I have in front of me, which is from ABC News, I think. Yeah, ABC. The story I have in front of me does not say how the kids, where the guns came from, or gun. I don't know if it's multiple guns, one gun. It doesn't say where the weapon came from. But how do 12-year-olds have guns at their party?
Yeah, I mean, are the parents not putting them in safes and locking them up? Are they, letting them sitting around in plain sight? I mean, we don't know, but it doesn't matter. 12-year-olds should not have guns.
No, and we need to look at this story as an example and say, all right, what happened here? What's happened here? 12-year-olds, first of all, how do they get guns? Secondly, what has led us in our society for 12-year-old kids to believe the answer to an argument is a gun? I've said it all week long. I don't really know what the specific answers are. I don't. But we've got to get some kind of greater control of guns. And I don't want to take them away from people. I don't want people to not have guns for defense or hunting. But we've got to get some kind of greater control of it.
Well, I'm going to go back like we did earlier this week to the people in D.C. If this story right here does not make you want to react even quicker and try and get things rolling quicker than what we saw this week, nothing will.
Right.
Nothing will.
Right. And as we talked with Jake last hour, Jake Zuckerman in the last half hour from the Ohio Capitol Journal, I think if you talk to the average person, Democrat, Republican, NRA, not NRA, gun owner, not gun owner, liberal, conservative, I think if you talk to the average person goes, yeah, we've got to do something. Well, there are levels of, depending on your perspective, people want to go one way or another. But I think I think that the general public says, we can't let this go on anymore. But then you go to the office holders, the elected officials, and they can't move. They can't move off dead center positions. And that for veteran because we have screwed up our electoral process so badly with gerrymandering, primary opponents coming in and so on, that a Republican who doesn't hew the line exactly right down the middle to what the conservatives want faces serious re-election challenges. So the simplest thing is just to stay away from it. But I think the general public, Biffy, I think you and I represent where the general public is at. Do something.
Yeah, and again...
Start small, but do something.
I'll start small and do something. And again, I just said it however long ago, you got to do it quick now. I mean, who knows? I mean, are we going to be reading... I'm sure you can go online and search, and you'll find how many stories just like the one that you just read. And again, if that doesn't give you motivation to get going, then nothing will.
Maybe it needs to be personal stories like this one, because the numbers don't seem to make a difference. 218 Ohioans have died from gun violence, 439 injured just this year in 2021 in Ohio. Those numbers from the Ohio Capitol Journal. And I think they just bounce off us like water off a duck, Biffy.
Well, I mean, look, when we turn on the news and we see another shooting, we go, well, where is it now? Is it near us? Is it here? Is it? Oh, okay. Well, it's not near us, and we go through the same old that we do after every shooting. I mean, it's just become so ingrained in our culture and everything that we don't react like maybe we used to. It's, oh, okay, well, where is it? Oh, it's there. Okay, look at the numbers, look at everything. We talk about it. Okay, all right. Where's the answers? Where's what we're looking for? And we don't have it.
Our conversation on this show began earlier in the week when I couldn't remember how many shootings we'd had in the past week. There was one that caught my attention. I said, was this 3? Is this 4? I don't even remember anymore because there's so many of them. CNN had a graphic, and I didn't post it, and it's not current, a couple days ago or maybe last week, showing all of the mass shootings in the past year in America. Just a little picture of the map of the United States with little red dots where all of the mass shootings are. And it's unbelievable. Can we at least not agree there's a problem when there's this many mass shootings, when you have kids being injured at a 12-year-old's birthday party in a gunfight? Can we not at least agree there's a problem?
I mean, and that's just in what the whole state of Ohio, the numbers that you read. Imagine this. Imagine if we were doing this show in a city like Chicago. I mean, just forget the state of Illinois, just the city of Chicago alone and what they go through. I mean, I don't know.
Somewhere, somehow, some way, we've got to get off dead center. Again, that's a bad phrase, dead center, but we've got to get off the fence on this. And I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it. I mean, the general public, I think, is behind some reasonable and common sense forms of gun control. I think the general public, they do write to their congressmen, to their senators. They do say, do something. But the people who make big contributions, like the NRA, the people who can create primary opponents for Republicans, like the large conservative groups, don't want anything done. They don't want anything done. I don't understand it. I said that all week long. I don't understand. I don't understand the mentality that says don't do anything.
Well, I
truly don't get it.
I think it's going to take. I don't know who it's going to be, but let me see. Someone's going to have enough certain strength, if you know what I mean, to stand up and actually get things going. And until that happens, the next time we hear about, hopefully we don't, but I'm sure we will. The next time we hear about, I'm sure the next we hear something like this, we're back to where we are right now.
You can, if you want to place a bet, I don't think FanDuel will take your bet, but if you want to place a bet, I would bet you there will be another mass shooting before Monday.
And that's a sad thing.
I hope I'm wrong.
But that's a sad thing to say.
But that's what we have to deal with. That is what's happening. All right, well, on that depressing note.
Yeah.
About time for me to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell, I got to go, I got to get out of here. Tomorrow on the show, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we will talk about that with one of our old friends, Andy Bueller, who herself was a victim of child abuse. She's got some tips for you to keep your kids safe, and so we'll talk about that. Also, McCabe and I often talk about the good old days of Wheeling City Council, when members of council would speak up on the floor, and they would debate the subjects on the floor. It wasn't so cut and dried. Here's the ordinance. All in favor say aye, opposed nay, let's move on. There used to be lots of debate and discussion. Now, sometimes it got a little goofy. Sometimes it went way too far. But John and I have often talked about how maybe things were a little bit better back then. Vice Mayor Chad Thalman says, I'd like to talk to you about that, Howard. I'd like to talk to you about that. So the Vice Mayor is with us tomorrow to talk about council meetings, how they're conducted, and do they not give us full debate, or do they? We'll talk about that tomorrow here on the Watchdog Morning Show. And speaking of Mr. McCabe, he and I will have our regular Friday roundtable, the Ohio Valley Newsweek in review. But for now, again, time for me to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Kirchhoff's got the calm coming up next. Among his guests, Senate President Craig Blair talking about what's going to happen next with possible income tax reduction proposals. The bromance continues. Chris Starwalt is in today, and Tony Caridi will be on with Hoppy to talk about the spring game. All of that's coming up. Statewide Talk Line coming up next. As for me, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, don't get impeached, don't retire, don't overeat, ticker keeps on ticking, and Teddy says, it's all right, you can go back to work tomorrow, Granddad. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock with the go-around of the big gig. Are you back with me, Biff?
I'm here to close out the week.
All right, we'll just keep on doing it until we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
This is Hoppy Kercheval. Join me with
News.
Hey, that was Hoppy Kercheval. I had forgotten. Bob told us he was off the rest of this week, didn't he? Brenda or somebody. Yeah. All right. Yeah, send somebody. Yep. I just remembered. I was wondering where is he, and then I just, after we signed off, I remembered he had said he wasn't going to be here. So. All right. Looks like a full show tomorrow. I'm not sure what Chad has in mind. He texted me last night. He goes, you and McCabe are always complaining. I'd like to talk about that. Sure. What the hell? Why not? We'll talk about that. And I gave in to Victoria once again, her friend Andy Berger. She gets credit when she gets her on the radio. So I said, look, it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. I wanted to focus only on that. I can't keep letting her tell the same story over and over again. So I told her 10 minutes tomorrow at 8:10. And then John and I, and that'll be the weekend. And it seems like, which always is when things go completely awry, but you're right, it does sound like a plan. So, all right, everything going on okay up there today, or down there today, or wherever you are? No problems? All right, sounds good. I should just be here at home all day, so if you need me for anything, give me a call. Otherwise, I will talk to you in the morning. Yeah, all right. Appreciate your help, as always. Thanks, Biffy. All right, bye.
You're listening to ABC News.
Hello, neighbor. Pat Boone here. You know, they say every dark cloud has a silver lining, right? Well, today I'm going to prove it. Rising political and economic uncertainty is increasing market volatility. So, to help protect listeners, Swiss America has a very special offer. Historic silver Walking Liberty $half at the amazingly low price of just $11.95 each delivered. That's right, $11.95 each delivered, while supplies last. Available now by calling 800-630-1492. Why don't you write that down, 800-630-1492. Put a silver lining in your portfolio now. Call 800-630-1492. 800-630-1492. Walking Liberty $half at the amazingly low price of just $11.95. Call 800-630-1492.
Coronavirus cases spiking rapidly in India from less than 10,000 new cases per day in early February to over 300,000 per day now. Hospitals overwhelmed. In some places, ambulances have been turned